For Sagittarius, struggle was never random, and 2026 is not arriving by coincidence. If you are Sagittarius, you already know this feeling, the strange realization that your life has never followed an easy rhythm. While others moved forward quickly, you were stopped, redirected, delayed, forced to walk longer roads with fewer explanations. Not once, not twice, but over and over again.
And here is the uncomfortable truth most people avoid saying.
Some souls are not allowed to receive early. They are required to endure first.
Sagittarius was never designed for shortcuts. You were designed for meaning, and meaning is expensive.
For years, life asked you to keep going without clear rewards, to believe without proof, to stand back up when walking away would have been easier. And each time you thought the struggle was ending, another layer appeared.
Until now,
because 2026 does not arrive as another test. It arrives as a release.
Something that has been held back for a long time is finally allowed to unfold.
Not because you demanded it, not because you chased it, but because you have carried enough. This year is not about becoming someone new. It is about what begins to open after the struggle has done its work. 8 gifts, not loud, not sudden, but precise, each one connected to something you survived.
And if you stay until the end, you may realize why your life had to unfold exactly the way it did, and why these gifts could not arrive a single year earlier. Stay with me.
Because what begins in 2026 is not luck, it is alignment. Divine gift number 1, the gift of unbreakable faith. The first gift does not arrive the way most people expect. It does not come as money, it does not come as recognition, and it does not come with applause.
It arrives quietly as something that has already been living inside you for years.
Faith, not the kind that depends on promises, not the kind that requires certainty, but the kind that survives when certainty disappears.
Sagittarius was never given an easy faith. Your belief was not built in calm moments. It was forged during nights when nothing made sense, when effort did not guarantee results, and when walking away would have been the logical choice. And yet something inside you kept moving.
There were moments you doubted everything, your direction, your choices, even yourself. But notice this, you never fully stopped believing that your life meant something, even when it hurt. That is not accident, that is design. Most people believe faith is about waiting for good things to happen. Sagittarius learns something far deeper. Faith is about continuing forward before the good things appear. For years, your belief was tested in silence. No validation, no reassurance, just the quiet question, can you keep going without proof?
And you did.
By 2026, this faith matures into something unshakable. You no longer need signs. You no longer chase reassurance. You move with a calm certainty that does not require explanation. This is the moment when faith stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like grounding. You trust your inner compass, not because life has been easy, but because you have survived enough to know you can walk through uncertainty without losing yourself. This gift changes how people feel around you. You do not try to inspire. You do not try to convince. Yet your presence alone carries reassurance. Others sense it. If someone can endure that much and remain open, then hope must be real.
Life lesson. Faith is not waiting for clarity. Faith is walking even when clarity has not arrived yet.
And if this part of your journey feels familiar, comment if this resonates with you. Because once faith becomes steady, something else begins to awaken, a deeper understanding shaped by everything you have lived through. And that is where the second gift begins to unfold.
Divine gift number 2, the gift of lived wisdom.
After faith has settled into something steady and unbreakable, a second gift begins to reveal itself quietly, patiently, and without urgency. Wisdom, not book knowledge, not clever words, not advice repeated from others.
This is wisdom earned the hard way through lived experience. Sagittarius was never meant to learn by staying still. You learn by moving, by leaving familiar ground before certainty arrives, by choosing paths others hesitate to walk.
There were seasons when life felt like a classroom with no breaks. One lesson followed another. Each time you stood back up, something new demanded to be understood.
And for a long time, it felt unfair.
Why did you have to learn so much while others seemed to move forward with fewer questions? What you did not see then was that you were being trained for depth.
Some souls are allowed to stay shallow. Sagittarius is not one of them.
Your wisdom was formed in collisions with disappointment, with loss, with moments where expectations collapsed and forced you to rebuild your understanding of life from the ground up. You learned what hope feels like when outcomes are uncertain. You learned how to begin again without guarantees. You learned that truth is rarely clean and that people are rarely simple. By 2026, something shifts. The experiences that once felt scattered begin to connect. You look back and no longer see chaos. You see patterns, meaning, purpose. This is the moment when Sagittarius stops searching for answers and starts recognizing them. You no longer rush to judge. You listen differently. You see situations from multiple layers, emotional, human, unseen.
And when you speak, your words land softly but precisely because they come from understanding, not assumption. Life lesson wisdom is not knowing more than others. Wisdom is having lived enough to understand without needing to dominate. If this part of your journey feels familiar, comment if this resonates with you.
Because when wisdom settles into place, another shift begins, one that changes not just how you see the world, but how the world begins to hear you.
And that is where the third gift starts to awaken.
Divine gift number 3, the return of your true voice. When wisdom has been earned through real experience, something inside Sagittarius begins to shift again quietly but decisively.
Your voice, not the voice you used to survive, not the voice that explained, softened, or stayed silent to keep the peace, but the voice that speaks from alignment.
Sagittarius was born with an instinct for truth. You sense what is real. You hear what is left unsaid. You notice when something no longer matches its words. But for a long time, you learned to hold that voice back. Not because you lacked courage, but because you understood the cost of speaking too early. There were moments you told the truth and were misunderstood. Moments you named what others avoided and were labeled difficult. Moments when honesty isolated you instead of connecting you.
So you adapted. You learned when to stay quiet, when to soften your words, when to carry truth alone. And that silence was heavy.
By 2026, something important changes. You no longer feel the need to shrink yourself to be accepted. Your voice opens not with anger, not with urgency, but with calm authority. You speak less, but when you do, people listen. Not because you are louder, but because your energy has changed. Your truth no longer tries to win arguments. It illuminates. You stop explaining yourself to those who were never listening. You stop justifying choices your soul already approved. You speak from a place where rejection no longer frightens you because you have stopped rejecting yourself. This gift realigns your life quietly but powerfully.
Connections that no longer match your truth begin to fall away naturally. The right conversations appear without effort. Opportunities find you when you speak honestly instead of strategically.
You begin to understand something profound. Truth does not destroy what is meant for you. It reveals what was never aligned to begin with.
Life lesson: your voice becomes powerful the moment you stop using it to protect yourself and start using it to live truthfully. If this part of your journey feels familiar, comment if this resonates with you.
Because once your voice is no longer suppressed, another gift begins to unfold, one that changes how free you feel inside your own life.
And that is where the fourth gift begins.
Divine gift number 4, inner freedom and the release of old attachments. When your true voice no longer needs permission to exist, a strange and gentle sensation begins to move through your life. Release, not the dramatic kind, not the kind that arrives with sudden joy or celebration, but a quiet untying, as if something that has been holding you from the inside finally loosens its grip. For a long time, Sagittarius believed freedom meant distance, leaving places, leaving people, keeping options open. But the longer you lived, the clearer the truth became.
Some of the strongest chains were never outside of you, they lived within. The need to carry responsibility that was never yours, the guilt that appeared whenever you chose yourself, promises made by a version of you that no longer exists, the habit of staying longer than your soul could breathe simply because you could endure it. You were strong enough to carry what others could not, and for years that strength kept you bound. By 2026, something changes at the core. You begin to feel the boundary clearly between what you can give and what you no longer need to hold. You understand now that love does not require self-erasure, that loyalty does not mean remaining in places that silence your spirit. That responsibility should never cost you your alignment. Inner freedom arrives quietly. It shows up in the calm way you say no without guilt, in the way you leave without long explanations, in the way you stop telling your story to those who were never listening. You no longer justify changes your soul approved long ago. And with that peace enters, not the peace of having everything figured out, but the peace of knowing you are no longer wrong for choosing yourself. This freedom does not isolate you, it grounds you. You love from a healthier place. You give because you want to, not because you must. You stay because you choose to, not because you are afraid. Others feel this shift immediately. Your presence becomes calmer, clearer, more real. Life lesson freedom is not leaving everything behind. Freedom is no longer carrying what was never meant to stay with you. If this shift feels familiar, comment if this resonates with you. Because when inner freedom becomes natural, your life begins to clear space for something new, a role that feels meaningful without feeling heavy. And that is where the fifth gift begins to take shape. Divine gift number 5, the call to quiet guidance. When inner freedom becomes steady, something unexpected begins to happen around Sagittarius. Life starts responding differently to you. Not louder, not faster, but more precisely. For much of your life, you moved one step ahead often without realizing it. You sensed changes before others did. You noticed when a path no longer led anywhere meaningful, and many times this made you feel out of place. Being ahead often meant being alone. Seeing early often meant not being understood. But none of that was wasted. It was preparation. Sagittarius was never meant to lead by authority. You were shaped to guide through presence. By 2026, you begin to notice a subtle shift. People at crossroads find their way to you, not because you advertise answers, but because in your presence they feel steadier. Someone at work looks to you when direction is unclear. A family member leans on your calm. A stranger opens up without knowing why. You do not force responsibility. You step into it willingly because it no longer feels heavy. Your guidance comes from lived humanity, from having fallen and risen without hardening your heart, from understanding struggle without glorifying it. You speak from a place you once stood below, and that is why people trust you. This role does not drain you, it nourishes you. Because when a soul moves in alignment with its purpose, energy is not consumed, it is renewed. You begin to realize something profound. Your journey was never meant to be impressive. It was meant to be useful. You guide without instruction. You lead without pressure. You influence without needing recognition. And in a world full of noise and urgency, your calm becomes an anchor. Life lesson. True guidance does not come from knowing the way. It comes from having walked through uncertainty without losing your integrity. If this feels like something quietly forming in your life, comment if this resonates with you. Because when guidance becomes natural, another gift begins to awaken, one that reshapes how life itself meets you. And that is where the sixth gift starts to unfold. Divine gift number 6. When life begins to cooperate. After you step into quiet guidance, after you stop forcing your way forward, something subtle but unmistakable begins to shift. Life starts meeting you halfway. For a long time, everything felt like resistance. Doors required effort. Progress demanded sacrifice. Even the right choices came with exhaustion. Sagittarius became used to pushing, not because you wanted to, but because nothing moved unless you did.
By 2026, that pattern begins to dissolve, not all at once, not dramatically, but clearly enough for you to notice. Delays that once stretched endlessly begin to loosen. Situations that felt frozen start moving again. Opportunities appear without you having to chase them. This is not luck, and it is not reward. It is alignment. You are no longer trying to live a life that does not match you. You are no longer saying yes out of fear. You are no longer holding yourself in places that quietly drain you. Because of that, life no longer needs to resist you. You begin to understand something important. When a soul stops fighting its own truth, the world stops pushing back as hard. This does not mean everything becomes easy. It means effort is finally directed. You spend less energy proving yourself and more energy actually living. You notice how the right conversations happen naturally, how timing feels different, calmer, cleaner, how decisions require less mental struggle. You are no longer surviving, you are participating.
And that changes everything.
Life lesson flow is not the absence of effort. Flow is effort placed where it belongs. If you have felt life easing without losing meaning, comment if this resonates with you. Because when life begins to cooperate, another gift quietly follows one that reminds you why you endured in the first place.
And that is where the seventh gift begins to reveal itself. Divine gift number 7, purpose without pressure.
When life begins to cooperate, when movement feels natural instead of forced, another realization settles in quietly. You are no longer searching for purpose. Purpose begins to live through you. For many years, Sagittarius carried a heavy question: what am I supposed to do with my life? Not because you lacked a talent, but because nothing that felt available truly felt right. You tried roles that fit on paper, but felt empty inside. You followed paths that promised security, but drained your spirit. And every time you compromised your truth, your energy faded a little more. Purpose for Sagittarius was never about productivity. It was about meaning. By 2026, something changes in how you experience direction. You stop trying to force a calling. You stop measuring your worth by outcomes. You stop asking life to prove that you are on the right path.
Instead, you begin to recognize when something is aligned. It feels lighter, cleaner, more honest.
You realize that purpose does not shout. It does not pressure. It does not demand sacrifice of your soul. True purpose feels sustainable. You give your energy without depletion. You show up without resentment. You contribute without losing yourself. And for the first time, your actions feel like a continuation of who you are, not a performance. This gift removes urgency from your life. You no longer feel late. You no longer feel behind. You understand that timing is not about speed. It is about readiness. Purpose without pressure allows you to build something real, something that grows with you instead of consuming you. And the most surprising part, you do not need to explain it to anyone. Your peace becomes the evidence.
Life lesson: purpose is not something you chase. Purpose appears when you stop abandoning yourself. If this shift feels familiar, comment if this resonates with you.
Because when purpose becomes natural, the final gift is ready to emerge, the one that changes how you walk into the future. And that is where the 8th gift unfolds. Divine gift number 8. The release of fate. There is a quiet moment in the life of every Sagittarius when effort finally stops being required, not because you have given up, but because you have endured enough. This is the gift that cannot arrive early, the one that waits until the soul truly understands what it has carried, what it has sacrificed, and what it no longer needs to prove. For years, Sagittarius lived in cycles of hope and disappointment, belief followed by delay, movement followed by resistance, standing at crossroads where no one else could point the way. You learned how to walk without guarantees, how to trust without certainty, how to continue even when the road refused to explain itself,
and slowly, without noise, that persistence built momentum.
By 2026, something important releases.
What once held you back no longer has permission to stay. Delays that stretched across years lose their reason for existing. Situations that felt frozen begin to move on their own.
Doors do not burst open, they open calmly at the moment you are no longer waiting outside them.
And when they open, you realize something unexpected.
What waits on the other side is not compensation for the past, it is a different path altogether. A path that no longer asks you to struggle for worth. A path that does not require you to trade parts of yourself to enter. You may hesitate at first, not from fear, but from unfamiliarity. You became so accustomed to survival that ease feels strange.
But this is not ease without meaning. This is life finally meeting you where you are.
You understand now that luck was never about avoiding pain. Luck was refusing to let pain define you. Every time you stood back up when quitting would have been easier. Every time you chose honesty after disappointment. Every time you believed again when belief felt fragile, you were shaping this moment. Fate is not changing who you are. It is releasing you back to yourself. You move forward without urgency, without resentment, without the weight of unfinished battles. For the first time in a long while, you are not chasing life. You are walking with it.
Life lesson: fate does not reward effort. Fate releases you when effort is no longer required. If this moment feels like where you are standing now, comment if this resonates with you.
Because when fate releases its grip, what comes next is not another test. It is simply life lived honestly.
And that is where this journey comes full circle.
Final closing, when the struggle no longer defines you. If you have stayed with this journey until now, then you already understand something quietly important. This was never just about gifts.
It was about timing, about endurance, about why Sagittarius had to walk such a long road before anything could truly unfold.
For years, you questioned yourself, your pace, your choices, your delays. You wondered if you were behind, if you missed something, if life was asking too much.
Now you can see it more clearly.
Nothing arrived late, nothing was wasted. Every struggle shaped your capacity. Every detour refined your direction. Every moment you thought you were lost was teaching you how to move without guarantees. 2026 does not mark the moment everything suddenly becomes perfect. It marks the moment you stop being tested in the same way. You no longer need to prove your strength. You no longer need to justify your path. You no longer need to survive just to earn the right to exist. You have already done enough.
What opens next is not about reward. It is about alignment.
You begin to live without constant resistance, without carrying what no longer belongs to you, without questioning whether you are allowed to choose yourself. You move forward calmly, not because you know every answer, but because you trust the direction your life has earned.
And that trust changes everything. If there is one truth Sagittarius carries now, it is this:
you were never meant to arrive early. You were meant to arrive ready. Ready to live honestly, ready to move freely, ready to build something that does not require you to abandon yourself.
As you step into what unfolds next, remember this:
you are not behind. You are not broken. You are not unfinished. You are exactly where your life needed you to be.
And if you feel this chapter closing and another quietly beginning, let me know in the comments where you feel you are right now on this journey.
Your story may help someone else understand their own.
If this journey spoke to something real inside you, if you feel that this chapter of your life is quietly shifting, then this channel was created for you. Here, we don't rush meaning. We don't offer empty promises. We explore the deeper path of Sagittarius truth, freedom, purpose, and the long road that shapes the soul.
If you want to continue walking this journey with us, take a moment to subscribe to the Eternal Fire of Sagittarius. New reflections are shared here regularly, not to predict your life, but to help you understand it more clearly as it unfolds. And if this video helped you see your own path differently, your presence here matters more than you think.
Stay connected, stay true, and keep walking forward with awareness, not urgency.